Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Spotlight. I am Teresa Strong-Myrick with Action Coach Tampa Bay, and I am here with Jordan Lefranc. So, Jordan, thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you being on here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on.
Wonderful. So, tell us the name of your company, a little bit about it, how long you've been around.
Absolutely. So the name of my company is called Sunjane. What we are, we're a marketplace where qualified patients or patients that feel that they're eligible to be qualified to get their medical marijuana card can find state certified doctors that are eligible to recommend patients to get their medical marijuana card. And we've roughly been in operations for 2 years and running recently over the past 2-3 months.
Okay, awesome. So, I read a little bit about your story. Why don't you share with us what got you into this business?
Yeah, absolutely. So what kind of I've always been eager to get into the cannabis space. When you look at some of like the trajectories of the market size and the opportunity, it's a pretty substantial number. So
Right.
trying to kind of figure out how to break barrier of getting myself into this industry. Obviously, kind of thinking, well, if until I personally am an advocate patient myself, I really won't be able to essentially feel or even notice any pain points in the industry.
Yeah.
So roughly about 2.5 years ago, I went to get my medical cannabis card. And that's where kind of like the whole, I guess you'd say, interest even flared up even more. Because at that point, just like I was mentioning, I was really able to see some like the pain points that not only myself, but other patients go through. With everything from as far as, doctor appointments from your initial consultation to, trips and checkout processes at the dispensary.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's came a lot further in the past 2 years, but when I first got my med card, I saw how frustrating the process could be, and even how I went about finding a doctor was pretty, on a referral basis. It wasn't really me sitting down and analyzing or doing any research or checking out reviews
Right.
from doctors. So that's really, started my, I guess you would say, the start of Sunjane. And when I got my med card, my first experience with cannabis was unfortunately like awful. I got what we like to use the terminology overdose or over recommended by essentially a bud tender at a dispensary and not my medical cannabis doctor. And when I reached back out to him, I got a dial tone, unfortunately. So
Hmm.
that was like the kind of first, I guess you'd say, um, trigger eye opener experience of why there's such this gray cloud or stigmata in the industry.
Right.
So moving forward, was able to find a educated physician here in Tampa Bay by the name of Naveen Padu, who's one of my partners. And he
Hmm.
really brought to light, from the physician side, why there's, it's actually, numerically and statistically, it's the only industry where patient acquisition is on a steady increase day by day, week by week, but doctor acquisition has been either at a plateau or a steady decline over the years. So
Hmm.
really trying to figure out why some of these doctors aren't, as I guess you'd say, involved with the medical cannabis industry. And then,
Right.
over the past couple of years, we formed what's now called Sunjin, and it's been, proven to help out both parties on both sides, patients and also doctors as well.
So are you acting as a link between the two? Are you also educating as well?
Yeah, so that's a great question. We're not only just acting as a link, but also educating as well. Our doctor portal that doctors have access to have everything from training videos, CMEs that are based on medical cannabis, as well as usable case studies to help streamline the recommendation process. So on the back end, we are teaching, and then even on the patient end, one thing we're looking to incorporate is essentially more patient, I guess you could say, coordinators, patient care coordinators, so that
Hmm.
as well can work on getting one-on-one specialized treatment plans if they want to essentially pursue that avenue.
Okay, so you have essentially started something that did not exist in the industry. Tell us a little bit more about that, because we're talking to other business owners and people probably who have ideas of something they want to start because they see a pain in something that they are experiencing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the nice thing is that, with especially technology, it's technology is the key to innovation. So one thing I would say, like, especially going into the cannabis space, the one thing that's underdeveloped is, the technology aspect of cannabis. Everybody wants to be, the next cultivator, or everybody wants to own, the biggest dispensary, which is great and all. It's also, very lucrative part of the industry. But one thing that's, years and years behind in cannabis is the technology. So really just taking, my tech and background and my, gathering my pain points in the industry and just evolving those together is what's kind of helped really push the company along.
Wonderful. And I see you are expanding as well. So you're looking to bring on more team members, is that correct?
Not only just team members, but essentially merge into other markets as well. Right now we're just down here in the state of Florida. But over, the next 6 to 8 months, we hope to be in about 3 to 4 another cannabis markets up and coming and helping patients find doctors in those areas as well, areas and states.
Wonderful. Well, I am absolutely fascinated by what you do. You happen to be the first person I've ever talked to in the industry at all, but I love that you are focused on technology. So what do you see beyond the expansion? What do you see the future of you and your company?
The future really lies on a lot of legalities. That's one thing where in the cannabis space, if we talk about one of the biggest obstacles that not only myself, but other, cannabis business owners face, it's going to be like, the compliance and legalities that cannabis has. So I would say once on a state and federal level, and even more on just a federal level, cannabis is no longer a controlled one substance. That's really going to open up the opportunity for then insurance providers to hold that cannabis examination under insurance costs. Because right now, if you do want to get your med card, it's mainly it's 9 out of, I don't like to say 100% because there's when you are an innovator, that there's someone out there working to solve a problem. So 99% sure that there's not an insurance company yet that can cover a cannabis consultation. So it is cash-based right now. So that's kind of just the forefront moving forward is to, when essentially cannabis is no longer controlled to one substance, start adopting insurance plans into essentially our platform. And then also as well as psychedelics. Psychedelics is definitely another parallel to alternative medicine, as some of the studies have shown with medical cannabis and psychedelics. So as once again, as states start decriminalizing and then also allowing recommendations to be allowed with psychedelics, Dr. Perdue is working on a back end for psychedelic recommendations and also psychedelic treatment plans as well.
Got you. Okay. Ooh, that's a lot. You have a lot going on, and I'm just so impressed by what you are doing. I have some other questions, but I'm running out of time. So tell me what keeps you motivated.
What keeps me motivated? That's I would say there's twofold. The first one obviously would be my family. Just as the background to all this and being, the driving factor to my motivation. That's one. And then also just, patient and doctor success. Whenever, I get that call following an med card examination of a patient, just ranting and raving about, hey, I didn't know how simple this process was. Thank you for your help. You really, were able to essentially help treat a medical condition. That's really, the most uplifting feeling, because that's what at first when I got into space, I didn't really know that that's going to be like the aura I would feel when those calls came in. But once we actually started really solving some problems and, following up with patients 6 months down the road, and some of our, first initial 10, 15 patients that are now in depth with their cannabis program, for them to just, still be open to say like, hey, thank you. Like, I've seen, this much change in my medical condition just because of medical cannabis. It's enlightening to know that, our platform was able to help them with their condition.
Awesome. Who is your ideal client? How do they get in touch with you?
So our ideal client is going to be anyone that's 18 or older. As far as eligibility, it's pretty easy to essentially see if you are eligible, if you have one of the qualifying conditions. That's
as a parent, 18.
As a parent, yes, but I know. But even on, even pediatric cases where, some young adolescents, just because, with being born with different birth defects and things like that, end up relating to, more the herbal based treatment route with cannabis instead of just overall pill. But
understood.
18 is at least right now the legal minimum. And then our website, sunjane.com. And then you could also follow us all throughout social media using the handle We Are Sunjane.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you again, Jordan, for joining us.
Yes.
Guys, I'll have all his information and contact info below the video, so please reach out if you should need him. All right, y'all have a great day, and thanks again for watching.